The whole Grooch, Drunk, and Plum Scary Garage hostage video wasn't quite our vibe. So we're back to form, or at least as much form as any other summer. You're listening to Can't Read, Can't Write. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Can't Read, Can't Write, the podcast that proves Spartans can talk. I'm Mike Jones, joined as always by the guy... Oh, wow.
By the guy that's typing out the introductions live, Alex Plum, and...
Oh my Plum God. Has two jobs. So I'm joined by the guy who was drunk, Kevin Breck, and the guy who had two jobs and couldn't be bothered.
Did
Alex
one of them.
Plum.
Did one of them.
Plum, do you want to pull out your report right now?
Listen, I don't, and I'm not going to bring it up because no one needs to know about my dysfunctions as an executive leader. Though anyone that listens to the pod, they should be self-evident. I'm more upset that no one but us got to enjoy the absolute shit videography. It could not have been good from this week in my garage. I am actually upset about that.
Well, we did give the screenshot, at least so people could see how tidy your garage is.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's of importance.
Yeah. People love that. People love a hanging rake.
There was also the... if you thought the audio was bad on the podcast, I assure you, the video was worse.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, it turns out, who knew, shouldn't be recording podcast episodes in detached garages in front of Libman mops.
Wherein you had to unplug the Ring camera to get sufficient Wi-Fi signal.
Yeah, this is, I don't really know what to do about this because I have contacted AT&T. We're not getting the same kind of internet as, I think it's something to do with their gateway, or I need a mesh wireless system with all the plaster walls here. I don't know.
Maybe it's need a mesh wireless system anyway, but yeah. Well, all right. This is what people came here for. We do want to thank everyone for listening this week, last week, any other week you've joined us. And if we could ask a small favor, please share the pod with Spartans in your life. I want to emphasize Spartans. We see you, new Wolverine listeners. Rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get podcasts. And, of course, follow us on Twitter and Instagram or YouTube at Spartan_pod. Plum, I'm going to give you another job. What are we doing this week?
All right, gentlemen. Well, we will lead off behind the green wall on this podcast where football always leads. I don't know that we have any updates on football, so this week we'll be leading with basketball, though we are not but 6 weeks away ish from the start of the football season. Alas, we got men's shooty hoops, we got women's shooty hoops, we've got hockey, and it's only bad news there, I'm afraid to say. Before we celebrate some MSU track and field heading to the Olympics, we'll talk about our lovely sponsor. We'll talk about whiskey. We got a little whiskey this week from our friend and listener, Mike Jones. We're going to do a little live sample on the pod before heading off Grand River and then taking y'all's Twitter questions. So cheers to that.
All right, let's head behind the green wall. And actually, you know what? We're going to improv here for a second. Because Greg may not remember speaking to this last week because drinks.
Hurtful.
But true. I'm gonna borrow from Sheehan's show today because I think it's still worth maybe a brief conversation. But Greg was concerned about the upper bound of the recruiting class and all of the higher end targets that MSU had just just committed to other schools.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to spend a lot of time on this. We don't talk about people who didn't commit to MSU, but as a first-year staff, are we remotely bothered that their higher end targets, which to be fair are like maybe a low 4-star, high 3-star, didn't pick MSU?
Yeah.
I mean, why would that feel good?
Well, it doesn't have to feel good for you to be, say, not concerned about it as a long-term problem.
I mean, so often in these first years, staffs have the world to sell. There's a lot of promises that you can make. There's a lot of playtime available. They didn't really take advantage of that. And I think that is concerning. Can things change if this team has success and they demonstrate that they're a development staff? Yeah, of course. But given, and I know Plum, this is going to set you off, but given what we understand about MSU's position with NIL and given how things tend to operate with first-year staffs, I think it is a little concerning.
I don't disagree with that perspective. The guy hasn't coached a football game yet. Here.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just don't know. We're coming off terrible seasons with a encyclopedia salesman as the head coach and a retinue of fucking useless imbeciles as his cabinet. There's nothing attractive about this program from just a hot take perspective. I don't know what credibility we have. Kenneth Walker was the credibility for this whole program, and that was 3 years ago. So we don't have any credibility. It's the guy's first year. There's really nothing he has to grow on. He's brought guys with him from Oregon State, which I think says a tremendous amount about him and about the program that he's running that they like. But he's going to have a very good season, a very solid season this year to show that there is something there. And I think asking young people to commit to anything right now without more evidence is unreasonable, particularly considering how fickle this generation of young people is and the system they operate in.
There we go. Yes. It's the children that are wrong.
I have been consistent at blaming young people. Consistent on that point since I've joined this podcast. So
people will say they want us to have Tom Izzo on the podcast, but we have our own version right here.
Thank you. The nicest thing you've ever said about me, I think.
Well, I only bring it up. It's something to keep an eye on. My understanding is that the class of 2026 has more high-end offers, if you will, than the class of 2025 did. So, it may be, to Plum, to your point, it may be a reflection of what do we got right now? What can we build on? What can we grow? And then, and if you're a developmental staff, I think that probably also means you're a relationship-based staff.
Yeah.
And those take a little bit more time. So, but it doesn't change, I don't think, Greg's point of, at minimum, monitor the situation.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's chat some MSU men's hoops, and it definitely wasn't the drinks last week that made me forget to put this on the outline. But Jeremy Fears granted an additional year of eligibility due to medical redshirt. This is notable, I think, for 3 reasons. One, they asked for it early. Normally, this is something you petition for at the end of a kid's career, not at the beginning, which probably is indicative of he expects to be here the whole time. The other thing is that it was outside the bounds of when a medical redshirt can be granted. He played too many games for it to be granted. And then I think third, there's the conversation is around, like, what is that in terms of timeline for MSU? Like, this is a big, if he's as good as we hope he might be, it's a big deal, right?
Yeah. And we joked when this came across on our little text messages that by the time he's done with his eligibility rules probably won't exist anymore anyway. So we have potentially set up a truly generational player here in Jeremy Fears in the literal sense, where he plays our point guard role for a full generation. And it kicks off with this. It's great. I think this probably happened because the NCAA is taking a lot of heat right now around these types of things. Probably a savvy move and a pretty good gamble to apply for it now and get it offered. And given what we've seen from Moneyball, which I hold in very high esteem, as we all know, hopefully this is an indication of a long and productive career.
It's good. Very good.
Unrelated, Greg, but this seems to be Plum also, I think, in particular. Have you seen the clip of, I think it was Devin Booker talking about the first autograph he ever asked for?
No, I did not see this clip.
Oh, no. Yeah, they're all, they did a whole video thing of all the Team USA players signing basketballs and asking about the first time they, signed an autograph. And then Devin Booker's asked, who's the first autograph you asked for? He said, Grand Rapids legend, Drew Neitzel, played at Michigan State.
Thank you. Do you know why? A mensch, hard worker, short,
ambidextrous. Absolutely nothing else relevant about him. Moving on. Tum Naren. Everyone. Tum Naren is no longer playing for the Bahamian national team because they lost
to Spain. That's a bummer. That's a bummer for him.
Not be going to the Olympics, and I think we've already gotten in trouble with some of our listeners for going a little too hard on Tum Tum.
Do you know Tum Tum was playing against one of his own players?
One of his own players.
Exactly.
Yes. Who beat him?
Who
won't be one of his players anymore? It turns out.
If Tum Tum cuts that player, I will finally believe that he is good enough to coach MSU.
There it is. There it is. See, I knew something would do it for you. That's great.
I need that spirit from Tum Tum.
You need that edge.
Yeah. Continuing on the theme of Olympics, have to. I'm probably going to mispronounce the name. Shout out Sheikh Kali from MSU Women's Hoops, who's headed the Olympics for the second time, repping Team Canada.
Big and
Tori Franklin from MSU Track and Field is headed to Paris representing Team USA in the triple jump. So,
3 jumps.
While I wish that Tum Tum was there to continue the MSU legacy,
right?
Still, what is that? 1, 2, 3 Olympians that we'll have playing. So that'll be great.
That's right.
Yep. And in I think maybe the most bummer news, Artie Levshinov, who we mentioned last week, went number 2 to Chicago, will indeed be staying in professional hockey to continue his development with the Chicago Blackhawks. A bummer for MSU this next season, but huge win for Knights in the long term, right?
Yeah,
like you put a dude in the league, number 2.
Yeah. This is great. It's gonna be great for recruiting. Cannot hurt. Should probably tell Jay Smith about how he did that.
The other bummer thing for us is that bear character from Twitter turned out to be right about this. Whoever that goober is. So
did he? I thought that he was saying. Oh. I thought he was saying that he wasn't going to go.
No, he was saying that it was because it's that hockey team from Chicago. It was likely that he wouldn't be coming back.
Got it. Thank you.
Right. Whoever their AHL team is quite good at development, particularly with the defensive side or the defenseman. So from a pro prospect, and I think the money is probably pretty attractive. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know that our NIL on MSU hockey is bad, but I don't know if it's competing. Not knowing enough about how hockey players get paid, I don't know that it's competing with a number 2 overall pick.
I think we know what his contract is, and it's like $900K. And I don't think that the hockey players are operating at $900K.
No. Take that. All right. We all got together at Alex Plum's house, but I spent a fair amount of time at Mama's Mercantile and Eatery this past week while I was in Michigan. And I have to say, fantastic.
How's the brunch, Michael Jones? How's the brunch?
Yeah, how was the brunch?
Look, I've mentioned Mama's Mercantile and Eatery, family business.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the reasons that we choose to support them. But I said, as I was eating my brunch, that even if it was not family, I would be a regular here for brunch.
Sure.
The brunch is fantastic. Would come back again, is I believe what I said as I was shoveling food into my gullet. So
yeah, for any listeners that haven't broken bread with Mike Jones, he's not
shoveling.
Giving the whole story here. When he eats food, he goes into another plane of existence where he forgets the surroundings around him. People, places, there is an astral projection that takes place. So he was on a different plane of existence when he told himself that he would come back to this restaurant for brunch. And that's how you can know that this is a sincere appraisal of Mama's Mercantile and Eatery, because he's a very strange man and said it at a very vulnerable time in his day. What about lunch, Michael Jones?
Excellent. The dinner, I want to call out in particular because I had this pizza there that was fantastic. It had some pulled pork on it. It had some pineapple. It was incredible. It was a sort of a play on a Hawaiian, like Hawaiian meets the South. It was great. 10 out of 10. Recommend.
Right.
Mama's Mercantile and Eatery. Get yourself over there. Mention Can't Read, Can't Write to get 10% off of your bill. It would mean a lot to us. So
yes, indeed.
All right. Should we do the whiskey now?
It couldn't hurt.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do it.
So we should mention last week, if you dared to listen, was, let's see here. Number 27, that I believe is what we led with, was Baby Jane Bourbon. And we were big fans of Baby Jane Bourbon. My understanding is that it's new to being available in Michigan. So get yourself some Baby Jane Bourbon. I think it's like, if I recall correctly, there were like little hints of Irish whiskey to it. Clearly a bourbon, but if you've also enjoyed an Irish whiskey in your time, get yourself some Baby Jane Bourbon. The Siempre Añejo tequila was the number 13, and that was delicious. The number 20 Cantera Negra Cafe tequila, was that the purple thing we were drinking?
Sure.
Oh, what was it? Had to have been. I thought the purple thing was the gin we drank.
No, I still have the purple thing.
Okay, then it had to have been the tequila. I'm gonna text him. No one cares that I'm doing
that. Yeah. So if you happen to find our tasting notes from last week audible, intelligible, but can tell you wholeheartedly, I think by the purple one, I don't know that you should take our word for anything on that, but Baby Jane Bourbon for sure and Siempre Añejo tequila, do get both of those. They were both fantastic.
Yeah.
So now we're going to reveal at the end of the episode what this is, but it's bottle number 6. I'm told it's very unique. Cheers. Go green.
Go white.
Go white. It's got a little maple element to it.
Maple to it, doesn't it? Yeah.
We do know that listener Mike Jones has been in Canada recently.
It's like a Scotch rye blend. That's a smoky rye. I'm calling that now.
What a little treat.
I wouldn't describe this as peaty.
No.
But it's playing in the space. Right?
That's like a smoky Highland something.
Yeah.
That could be Scotch.
But it feels strangely Canadian to me.
I'm going to put that on ice.
Yeah, let's get that burn in the back. I wish I had a little water to go.
Sorry, 20 was a thick black. 20 was the Cantera Cafe Tequila, the modern day Patron XO, since they've discontinued it. It might have looked purple in the light. and it was good, and I liked it, and I highly recommend the Cantera Cafe Tequila. Excellent. Bizarre, but excellent.
Are we all going to take pauses from the podcast to go get ourselves some ice for this?
I already brought some.
Oh, smart. All right.
Also on the list, we have a gin right now. Two of us have a gin. One of us misplaced it. He's can't be held. He's not responsible even enough for shooters.
I don't know
apparently.
I don't know that it's better on ice. I don't know that it's better on ice.
The gin is. It does seem like whatever 6 is, you drink that neat, and you put a little water on it.
I think you drink it neat. I think maybe just a drop of water. I don't know that the ice added anything to the dimension. Let's talk about the gin. The gin is very pleasant. It has a very strong profile.
Yeah.
A lot of juniper. A very strong woodsy profile, which I like. I like in a gin. Mixes also very well with a strong tonic.
It's a little dark. I'll put it up.
It had a little color.
Mm-hmm.
It really mixes well with a tonic.
I'm going to give it a little sip, just a little straight sip, See what we got here.
As you do that, I'll tell the listeners, while in my garage, after we went through 3, as we already told you about the 3 we went through, I don't remember if it was toward the end, if we'd stopped recording, but Kevin just walked over, just got up while recording. This is, by the way, why you don't have the video. It's not that the video quality wasn't good. It's that Kevin kept getting up and leaving the garage to relieve himself, leaving the garage to go fight with one of the many groundhogs that live under the garage, leaving to assail my neighbors for playing loud music or lighting fireworks. He did a lot of things that night that I'm still having to
They didn't understand that the fireworks are going to show up on the podcast.
Yeah, they didn't know.
Or they were supposed to. They never did. I went back and checked. It actually was never audible. So do send my apologies to both sets of neighbors. Yeah.
The gain on that microphone was at the ideal level, apparently. Let me just say this, though. So what did happen was Kevin did just go find a random bottle labeled, as it were, we now know 18, and just started passing it around. And we were just taking pulls from 18. So now, Michael has no 18. Kevin and I get to enjoy 18, this time on tonic, as it frankly should be drank.
And in honor of that, I'm going to take a pull on 18.
And tell us what you think, what you can remember about it.
It's lovely. It's a lovely gin.
It is a very good gin. I'm gonna just reveal it now. It is the Blue Coat Barrel Aged Gin, and I think that's why.
Oh, that's where the color comes from.
The color comes from it is barrel aged in some whiskey casks, and it is but it still has a really strong floral and juniper nose. Again, mixes very well in the tonic. No complaints about this Blue Coat Barrel Aged Gin. If you're drinking G&Ts, it's just a very nice.
Yeah.
What I will say is it does not sip as nicely as we all very much like
the Liberator.
The Liberator gin, Valentine Liberator gin. We all very much like that. That's a sipping gin. I'm not quite sure this comes that close, but it does have a unique profile in the tonic, which I think is enjoyable. All right.
Back to our mystery scotch real quick. I will say an ice cube seems to bring an earthiness out of it. I just put one small cube in there.
And I don't care for it.
Wildly altered it.
It did.
Interesting. Listeners, I'm just gonna say it now because we've got it here. It is 2 James R. Riddle peated bourbon.
Peated bourbon. I'll tell you, the peat came out with the ice. That's what you got as Earth, was peaty bourbon, which no one's ever fucking said that before.
Pete did bourbon. They peated the bourbon. Anyway,
that's why I don't like it.
I would recommend as a particularly if you can get it in a. You're probably not going to be able to get it in a pint, but I don't know if you like both spaces, give it a shot.
Yeah, it's not. It doesn't taste like a peated scotch though. Like this doesn't taste like an Isla scotch.
Did you have it? Hold on. Did you have it on? Did you have it on the ice, Kevin?
Not yet. I
would challenge you to, because I'm telling you, Michael's right. That on ice, it had a completely different. And you got Earth. You got some mossy peat on that. I personally am not an Islay Scotch drinker. I don't like peaty.
You're an Oban man, right?
An Oban man. I'm a Macallan. I'm not a Lafrag.
Let's head off Grand River, shall we?
Sure.
Okay.
Let us. That sounds lovely. I'm going to pour myself another G&T.
Invited you all to segment fish for the summer.
And oh my God.
Did
Cedar Village
delivered?
And oh my God.
Word.
Answer.
My Lord.
God.
My Lord and our God.
Hallowed be thy name.
What's interesting to me about many of our Twitter questions and generally the segment fishes that Cedar Village gave us, there's so many of them that are about us. And no one, it's almost as if people don't come to us for our sports opinions at all. But
or should they?
Plum, why don't you pick up that document that you received earlier today and tell us what people would come to get from you?
It's so true. Later, I'm sure there'll be a Twitter question I can respond to. I can pull some of my own deep dysfunction.
For those of you that aren't in the know, Plum got a leadership assessment back today, and he's reeling.
And I am ineffective at best. At best, I'm ineffective. Okay?
That's was the executive summary. At best,
truly,
you are
at best, you're ineffective. At worst, we've called the cops.
But so Cedar Village Bagel gave us a ton of segments to play with. But the one that we wanted to do today is tier list East Lansing establishments that are no longer with us. Mm-hmm. So here's what I propose, that we name a handful that we would either miss or are thankful that they are gone. So you either need to sincerely miss that it's there or not there anymore, or you are thankful that it's gone. And we'll sort of compile a list together and kind of do a bit of a stack rank.
Got it.
I'll lead.
Okay.
One that is near and dear to my heart and my time at Michigan State was Big Ten Burrito, soon to be renamed BTB Burrito. And RIP. I worked there for listeners. I was a delivery driver. It was the best job and truly the worst job for my academics because we were open till 4 a.m.
Yeah.
But Michael, for a whole year of his academic career, became nocturnal. And I am not exaggerating.
No, that's 100% true.
Nocturnal.
He would show up at the weirdest. But what I will say about this is if I was up late, like working on a paper and I needed a brain break, I knew I could call, and I was almost going to read your cell phone number because it hasn't changed, but I'm not going to. Michael's, for some reason, is one number that I
and
have never
social
forgotten.
Security is.
Yeah, I don't know why I've never forgotten it. It has enough symmetry that I never forgot it. But anyway, I could call it, and he would always answer. And he could come pick you up because he was probably on campus somewhere, and he would just be smoking his Camels in that Ford Explorer. Was it Explorer?
It was an Explorer, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's LP! Anyway, so I love that. Wait, but were you saying things that you liked were gone?
Yeah, I enjoyed BTB Burrito.
That you liked that are now gone, not that you're happy are gone now.
I've not mentioned one yet that I'm gone.
He put a little twist on it, and if you're glad that there's something gone, and I've got one for that, Stephen Barry's. Stephen Barry's, for those that don't know, is the retailer that produces MSU goods or sports goods generally that just produce the most garbage tier trash. Like, I can still see occasionally at tailgates someone will be walking around with something they clearly bought at Stephen Barry's
in ill-fitting Russell Athletics.
Oh, it's awful. It's like Champion from before that brand brought itself back around again. Oh, the stuff in there, distasteful. And anyone that worked at that establishment, truly derelict. And can you imagine the indignity of being fired from a place like that?
Oh,
I cannot.
Nothing lower.
I cannot. And I would say that if any of those things happen to you, you probably shouldn't be a social media manager of anything someday. But anyway, so Stephen Barry's, God bless, couldn't have happened to a worse organization. Plum, what do you got?
So if I have to choose something that I am glad it's gone, I don't know. It's a boring thing because I didn't really even know what it was. There was that bank, kind of like abandoned bank that was across the street from Beggar's Banquet. Is that Albert? No. Abbott on Abbott.
Yes.
Yep.
That's gone. I don't even know what's there now. Is it probably a high rise or some shit? But it was just always infuriating to me that there was on prime, like Abbott and Grand River, like prime real estate. There's just still an abandoned hulk of a building. Like that always drove me crazy because it was like, it felt like it devalued what I knew the worth was of that. But I had no connection to it. So
it was truly awful. And it was there for like
that.
10 years standing empty because of the developer.
Yeah, stupid.
Paul, do you have anything that you wish? Yeah.
What I wish I could have said was that Harper's was gone. That was what I wish I could have said. And that fucking thing is still there. Not only is it still there, but people like it. I want to say this to any listener.
Insane.
Oh, it is insane how popular it is. Now, the only time, though, I will say there was one redeeming thing, at least when we were there was one redeeming thing about Harper's that I will give it credit to. It hosted a fantastic Mega 80s. There was a wonderful Mega 80s party. Oh, yeah. And that was great. But I would always go, and Tara, because she'd be working there, would be slinging free cherry wheat beers to me because they wouldn't fucking sell. And so I would just drink those all night, and it was terrible. And I'm just saying, if you like the cherry wheat beer, you're a sadist. You're worse than I am, and I'm ineffective at best. So I just want you to know, how dare you? Because it's unpalatable water. But the thing that I miss, and I'm going to take Michael's because I know this is what he is going to have said, but it's true for me too, even though it's more true for him.
Well, he already went with BTB, so you're good to go.
Well, I've got another, but
is it Theo's? Because I was going to say Theo's.
Oh, so Theo's for sure. My alt was Woody's, but go ahead and give it.
Well, I'll say Theo's. So Theo's was your classical Greek diner. It had do you remember the old Wendy's? Had that sort of like weird, like solarium vestibule kind of thing.
As someone that worked at a Wendy's back in the day, I can assure you every single one of them leaked. They were
yes, they were not structurally not structurally sound. Theo's had a kind of solarium, but more to the point, it was just everything you thought it was. Booths with the ripped vinyl and the probably asbestos sticking out of it, and that was great. It had the mice, because of course there were mice, and there should be mice. Mice deserve French fries too. It had the constantly going deep fryer. It had the best plates of French fries, excellent
endless
burgers,
coffee.
Endless. It was terrible swill coffee, horrible.
Oh, I thought the coffee was great.
No, you're insane. But you didn't have taste buds because you were smoking so much at the time. This is 100% true.
To me being a former smoker on this
Listen,
podcast.
It's fine. We celebrate your road to recovery, but Lord Jesus, no. But I will tell you, I drank that coffee anyway, and I wrote more PTCD papers there with you and Michael Stone than anyone else, and I only have fond memories of going there. And when you would say, I'm at Theo's or let's go to Theo's, hands down 100% of the time, it was a yes for me. Foundational, wonderful, cheap, greasy diner, greasy spoon.
Yeah.
I miss the food. I genuinely miss the food. Greg, do you have something that you miss?
I've got one that I wish that I don't miss because we were never able to experience it. Moving back here, you get to talking to the old heads, and they get to spinning yarns, telling tales of yore. And there was a place in the old Frandor shopping center called the Boom Boom Room. It was your Frandor Tiki Bar, and it apparently existed for decades and shut down like sometime in the early 90s or something like that.
Oh, wow.
But there is a website out there called mytiki.life that has a remembrance of the Boom Boom Room, including pictures. So if we all want to
navigate there right there.
Yes. If we just want to go there and think about what could have been those carefree nights in a tiki bar in Frandor Plaza, I just truly wish that could have been available to us when we were in school. Imagine the drunk driving that happened in Frandor Plaza. Well, a tiki bar in the 70s. How does the Frandor water tower still stand? How did not literally everyone driving out of the tiki bar hit that thing on their way out of town? I don't know. But anyway, huge missed opportunity. Something that experiences that we could have had that we never did. Jonesy, do you have another one?
why is the name escaping me? What was the incredibly cheap pizza place that was on
Bell's? You're
Bell's.
thinking about Bell's.
Yes. Bell's Pizza.
They're gone, right?
Oh yeah.
Well, it's just the one now on the west side of town, or east side of town.
So they still exist as a going concern.
The standalone structure still exists. The one on MAC no longer does.
Yeah. Well, here's the deal. If you went at least into the one on MAC, you saw literally up top Jiffy pizza mix boxes, as in that's how they made their dough. The same thing that you would just grab to make cornbread is how they mixed it with water. And let me assure you, it showed. There are so many ways to do drunk pizza that don't have to be the thing that will wreck your insides. And it did. We can pour one out for Pokey Sticks, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
But
although honestly not that good.
No, but I'm talking drunk pizza. Column A, column B, you take Pokey Sticks every day. So
yeah.
I don't know. Bell's.
Nothing could beat the convenience of Bell's, though. It was there for you every time.
It
was. It was. And if you were coming back from Gunson, you were absolutely not going to go out of your way to get a menace joint. You were going to stop.
T-Bell.
You were going to stop at Bell's.
T-Bell.
How'd you do it?
I've got another one that I miss.
Oh, Taco Bell. No.
I miss
Blockbuster.
The LS Teco of our time. Current LS
it was
Teco.
Different. Thank you. It was different.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think there was a turnover for one reason or another of the staff. You can believe it. And the food never recovered. It is a place that you go to get margaritas and drinks only. Do not eat there unless you have to.
No, it's bad. It is BAD bad now. It's upsettingly bad. I will say what hasn't changed, though, and so apparently what has been able to pass from generation to generation, the chips will still destroy the roof of your mouth. They are still harder than brick. And there's an appreciation for that. I think the salsa is still the same. But
well, it's like Goldschlager, though. You want those little micro abrasions so that the alcohol from your margarita gets...
Well done, you.
Yes.
Well done, you. All right. Mm-hmm. Very well. Very well.
That's intentional on their part.
Let's move on. I do want to give a quick minor update, just checking in on things here. And the 2 James J. Riddle peated bourbon, I've decided I'm out on wholeheartedly.
Okay, say more.
Look, listener Mike Jones is an excellent distributor of spirits. You should try his spirits. And if you are a can't read, can't write completist, then you should try this. Like, it's intriguing. It's not bad. It's intriguing, but you'll have a glass and then you'll like, I'm good here. So yeah, if you can get a mini of it and you're a completist of the can't read, can't write experience, then do that. But like, don't buy a fifth. Like
us, one of our minis, maybe.
Yeah. Anyway, so do take that. I will say though, know that we are actively saying not kind things about some of the liquors that Mike Jones gives us. And so do know that when we do say nice things about them, we mean that quite sincerely. This was he curated this for us to be both good and maybe treacherous. All right. Speaking of Mike Jones, shall we do the Twitter questions?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. Of course, if you want to interact, you can interact on Twitter at Spartan_pod. You can email us at can'treadcan'twrite1855@gmail.com. You can comment on the YouTube episode and we'll maybe see it for the next week. So those would be your 2 best mediums. All right, let's get into these. Mike Jones asks, why hasn't Greg with 3 G's Berhalter been fired yet? Alex, you seem ready to answer that question.
Not only am I, but apparently my fucking lamp has just jumped. Oh, Christ on a bike. There it goes. There we go.
Christ on a bike?
On a bike.
No one ever said that.
Someone's gotten into the number 6 over there, it seems.
I say that all the time. Anyway, or as my grandpa used to say, Jesus tap dancing Christ, which
that one I've heard.
I've got an adjacent one of those, but we'll
okay.
Move on.
No.
Move on.
Let's come back. Yes, Greg Berhalter. Utterly inept. Let's talk about the CONCACAF League of Nations. It's not what it's called, but that's what I call it. CONCACAF League of Nations Cup. We lost to Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah.
No offense to them, but my God. We got shellacked 5-1 by Jamaica. I'm sorry, by Colombia. Colombia in the lead up, to Copa. It was just a friendly. When you get just rated 5-1 in a friendly, like you're doing something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
We lost to Jamaica in another one. And now we barely beat Bolivia, and it was a close margin. Bolivia is barely a soccer program before losing to both Paraguay, unacceptable, and Uruguay. And listen, losing to Uruguay is one thing. They're fantastic. Luis, what's his ass? All of Uruguay and Argentina, the two of them, win the most Copa Americas, have consistently, I think they're tied for the most Copa Americas right now. They'll probably find themselves in the finals against each other, or one of them will be in the semifinal. They might be on the group stage together, or out of the quarters in the semis together. Suffice it to say, though, we are bad. We have the talent. You've got guys like Christian Pulisic, who plays forward, who's stunning. He's unbelievable. He plays in the Premiership. He's incredible. We have talent. What's the asshole Carlos, whatever his ass, and he's got the kid, and that was a whole thing. For folks who weren't paying attention, I know I'm not going to think of his name right now, but there was a former U.S. men's national team player, Carlos
Alvarez.
something. No, I don't think so. And he
Mancia.
was okay. Christ,
Boozer.
This is really becoming racist, actually. And anyway, whole thing, and his son is on the team now. But his son, they didn't feel like he got enough playing time at the World Cup. And so then he and his wife leaked all this shit to the press that Greg Berhalter hit his wife, like it was a physical abuser. And then Greg Berhalter had to come out and say, yes, when I was in college, I got drunk one time and I did. I hit my, at the time, girlfriend for a fiance or something. And I went to anger counseling, and I got all this, counseling and healing, and I've never laid a hand on her. And we're married, and we've been married for 25 years. And I can't fucking believe you're bringing this up. How dare you? And so Gio. The son's name is Gio, and he didn't get enough playing time. Anyway, the point is, like, all of this shit has been dragged through the mud. Greg Berhalter has, and that wasn't his fault. I mean, that was a shitty thing to do by shitty parents who are shitty human beings with a shitty son who's not very good, and it clearly isn't very good. My point is this: Greg Berhalter, though, can't coach. He can't
also not very good. Yeah,
that's the point. Whatever his allegations notwithstanding, he can't take 11 people with considerable talent and cohese them into a team capable of working together, because that's what a national team is. Just like we see this in basketball, you're going to get Kevin Durant, you're going to get Steph Curry, you're going to get all these guys who play in the NBA for all these top-level teams. And the goal of Mike Krzyzewski, or whoever is the coach this year, is you've got to pull them together, and you got to get 5 guys on the court at the time to work together in short order, because they don't play together. And that's the national team. They get called up, and they get sent to a tournament. They get sent to Jamaica. They get sent to Costa Rica. They get sent to Mexico. They get sent to Europe. They play together, and then they come back, and they're back to Europe. They're back to the LA Galaxy or wherever in the MLS. And so it's personnel management. You shouldn't be choosing just your most successful guys. This Gio, I'm so embarrassed I can't remember his last name, but like Gio is a great example. He's a fucking sociopath. His parents are sociopaths. I don't care how good he is. He shouldn't be on the team. No matter how good he is, he doesn't know how to play soccer 11 aside with guys who he's only going to see monthly or quarterly. Greg Berhalter, as the manager or the coach, whatever, of the national team, has got to be choosing the talent that you can coach 11 aside for these one-offs to represent the red, white, and blue. And he is incapable of doing that. He needs to be fired. I hope they pull up Jurgen Klopp. He's recently left Liverpool. He is a fantastic manager. He speaks perfect English. He's a German. We can all trust the technical efficiencies of the German, very detail-oriented, unlike yours truly.
He's got teeth. He's got
teeth. All of his teeth.
Ah!
Anyway,
wait,
Jurgen
so
Klopp.
ironically, you don't need to be an American to coach?
No, not at all. No, my friend. Absolument pas. No.
I'm not comfortable with that. Next up, from listener Mike Jones, is there anything worse than the first day back from vacation? Turned off emails, left laptop at home, came home to 472 emails, and only like 75 to 80 of them weren't instant trash. Were instant trash. I'm sorry.
Wow.
It's substantial. Yeah.
That is substantial. I didn't have that many, and I was off for a week.
Well, I'll just plug my employer. Everybody takes last week off in the company.
Ah, very nice.
So I came back to an inbox that was
zilch. Attaboy. Well done, you. Yeah, but it is bad. I was off last week too, Michael Jones, listener, and it sucked. Today was not
fun. Next up, Joe Ashworth. How many of our 2025 recruits need to get a 4th star by the end of their senior season in order to prevent a meltdown from parts of the fan base who don't understand the word rebuild, Kevin Greck?
I've never heard of it. Well, I cannot read and cannot write. What is Robbled? Robbled? Robbled?
Rebuild?
Yeah. I don't think it's... I mean, they won't. There is not a history of MSU committed players just getting 4th stars. That doesn't happen. The opposite takes place. So Joe Ashworth, look forward to this meltdown, because that's not, the cavalry is not coming on this one. I think it's possible this class doesn't have any 4 stars at the end of it. Likely, maybe even. So the good news is, well, I guess maybe the real meltdown will happen when we're 2/3 of the way through the season and we're in the real gut of it, and the record doesn't look very good either. But hopefully, with those last 4 games of the year, there will be a little bit of an ascendance, and then there will be more to build for next year. But we've already talked about recruiting on this episode. I'm not sold on it. I think it's worth watching. Joe Ashworth apparently agrees with you, Plum, a little bit more than he agrees with me. I've
always liked you, Joe. I'd like you more if you lived in Hawaii and were a woman. But that's neither here nor there.
I could say that about just about anyone. But
is it also fair to say, though, Greg, like, let's posit for a second a scenario in which maybe this year is a bit of an outlier. Well, first, we've seen Jonathan Smith win with this kind of recruiting.
Sure.
Like, so
in a different conference, though. In the Pac-12 Conference of Champions,
which last year was easily the best conference in college football.
Usually not the case, though. So,
okay, but the year before they were also still pretty competitive, and he had a really good team then too.
Okay, all right, good. Let's win.
But fine. So let's assume though that 2 things can be correct. He can win with this level of talent, and should be able to recruit better here at Michigan State. So, like, if this improves marginally, so our low end 3 stars hike up a bit, we start pulling in some low end 4 stars. Like, what's your sort of barometer for this? Like, what's good for you? And or at some point in time, if Jonathan Smith wins, do you just say, I don't care? We'll stop wholly covering recruiting, because we'll be like, if they took him.
Yeah. I'm happy to stop caring. I'm happy to be totally proven wrong on this. I think we've all agreed, though, MSU's natural place in the college football landscape is somewhere in the mid-teens to 20s range. And I think that's where the class should be. It never was really under D'Antonio, with select exceptions to that. It tended to be. I mean, we never really saw the full recruiting prowess of Mel Takar, but I think that's where the class should be generally. We're way short of that right now.
Yeah.
So I'm happy, though, to win one way or another. That's fine with me.
And if the portal acquisitions are good,
I think you pay a premium though for the portal acquisitions, and there's not going to be another class of Oregon State transfers walking through that door. That door is shut. Or maybe there's like one or two more guys ever, but there's not going to be another team to pull winners from after this. You're going to have to start building your own.
Yeah.
And I'm just checking before I say this out loud, but as it relates to, okay. So, I mean, it is worth, not a 5-star, but it's worth remembering that he did pull in Aiden Childs as a recruit at Oregon State.
Yeah.
Who was the 7th QB in the country, 58 nationally. He was a 96 in 24/7, 93 in the composite.
Yeah, but we should get those types of guys. I'm not saying we're Ohio State and we can fill a roster with that. But should
what I'm saying is that he did that at Oregon State. It took a minute. I guess that's my point.
Okay.
So let's get to this next question from him, because I think this puts a finer point on the question. Recruits in the class of 25 were less than 10 years old when MSU was in the college football playoff. Have only seen MSU win 10 games twice since then, and watched an all-time running back, Kenneth Walker, get snubbed by the fucking useless, imbecilic Heisman committee. My editorial. Why should they see Michigan State as a top 20 national program?
Well, I mean, obviously, not all committees are equal, and we all know that Kenneth Walker got acknowledged where he needed to be acknowledged.
That's true.
Yeah.
There's that.
Yep.
Doak Walker, I think everyone,
right.
especially youths, know that is the premier football.
Do you mean isn't it Walter Doak?
No, Walter Camp, also Player of the Year.
Walter Camp, that's what I'm thinking of.
There's a Doak out there somewhere. There's some kind of
that's the best running back. But Walter Camp is the
he was Walter Camp. That's what I loved the most. Was Walter.
But anyway, more to the point. It's a fair question, Joe, but we've seen successful recruiting. I'm trying to remember what John L's. Well, it was pre-ranking, but John L was bringing in some highly touted recruits. Notwithstanding decades before him, that you know. So it's about, in that time it was about resources and facilities, and also by virtue of being in the Big Ten and a national brand. But now we have still plenty of TV exposure. We have excellent facilities, and we have an NIL program that should be competitive. They should think we're a top 20 program because we should be recruiting them like a top 20 program.
Yeah.
Like, we should will that into existence. I'm just curious if who Jonathan Smith wants is different than what we're used to. I like, that's the question that I think I'm willing to leave open-ended, that maybe Greg's a little less willing to leave open-ended.
The other thing that I'll say to Joe Ashworth is, for some of us listening to this podcast, being 10 years old was a while ago. But these are 16 and 17-year-olds. Being 10 years old was not an eternity ago. And winning 10 games twice since then, that means that there's been a lot of winning that they have seen. So
that's fair.
I don't know. I guess I see what you're saying.
That's a fair point.
I see what you're saying, Joe Ashworth. I just think that MSU has a certain baseline that it isn't quite hitting right now. And
I think it's fair to say you hold yourself to that standard, right? Like, it's okay. Yeah. Like, I don't think you're wrong for feeling that. To be clear, I'm pushing back, but like, I think it's fair to say we are a top 20 program. We should act like a top 20 program.
Agree. But it's a fair question, Joe, and I appreciate it. Spartan 18770, what's the possibility that the state of Michigan can pass a capital punishment law for MFers? He actually wrote MFers. Thank you for keeping it PG-13. Who shoot off fireworks after 10 on a work night. Jonesy, as the dad of the podcast, answer this question.
Well, I guess I have some questions about when's the work night. Like, if you're saying on July 4th because you have to go in on July 5th, I'm sorry, but you know that's going to happen. If it's like today, or I'm sorry, yesterday, then I'm with you on those people shouldn't have friends. And they should sort of be overcompensating via fireworks because they don't have friends. But like, I'm not willing to go capital punishment on that one. But like, I get it. I like truly, I love the 4th. It's a great holiday, but it's sort of like I also Memorial Day adjacent fireworks or Labor Day adjacent fireworks. What are we doing here?
Yeah. This doesn't really bother me because I'm not lame, but I can understand how it would for some people. Next up, Spartan 18770. Am I the only one that doesn't care about Madden coming out? EA is such an ass developer. I think this is actually in reference to NCAA 2025 because Madden comes out every year. Like, people are going to buy it, but they're not excited about it. Really? Are there big changes to Madden?
I kind of wonder if, because I think they're bundling them.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I kind of wonder if they're doing that to boost Madden sales. Because I wonder if college football eats into Madden sales in a big way.
I got to tell you, one of the reasons, if I'm assuming correctly, that Spartan 18770 is talking about NCAA football here, that I'm not excited about it, is because all the social media garbage about the video game features Michigan because their brand guy is a Wolverine and because Donovan Edwards is on the cover. And that is tiring to me. I think that they're doing it just to troll me. I hate to say this, but it's starting to work. My degree of enthusiasm, in spite of the fact, and you told me this, Jonesy, the guy actually running the game is a Spartan.
Yeah.
He's got to get involved in this marketing push, man. He's got to just cut it with all of the maize and blue. Just put some other team in there.
Yeah. We have the best mascot in the world, and I don't think that's particularly controversial.
I don't know why the actual boss of the game is letting all of this happen, because it's detrimental to the brand. I'm still excited about it, but I do also agree the EA is a concern. I think the other shoe is going to drop on this. There's going to be like microtransactions or some garbage like that, but I'm still excited about it. Even in spite of everything I just said.
I was trying to guess what question we were on after my extended absence.
We actually scribbled them just for you, so that you didn't miss too much. Next up, Carl, you do too much, bro. Which one of you fellas has the most acute internet brain rot? It looks like that was
another question. 2 questions.
Yeah.
What is acute internet brain rot? What does it mean? Do I have so much brain rot? I don't even know what simple questions mean anymore. Is it me?
I think he's just saying who's the most online.
There was a time, Jonesy, where I would say it's you by a mile. But
sure,
I think it might be me.
You where are your circles, Plum? What are you running in?
Threads.
Blue sky.
Actually, that's fine. Well, I won't go into that, but it's New York Times, CNN. It's news shit. I occasionally get on Facebook, LinkedIn. I do a lot of LinkedIn scrolling.
Yeah, I don't think that qualifies for brain rot.
Okay,
especially when it's the paper of record. I think if you were on InfoWars or something like that.
Should they be the paper of record any longer?
That's a good question. Yeah,
well, they've made their brand now apparently anti-Joe Biden. That's what their whole fucking shtick is at this point. I can't say they're wrong, but that's very much what they are leaning into.
It makes you seem smart at minimum. Anyway, we'll just say me for the moment. But if I need help drumming up a good meme, I do go to Greg. So
I'm in the running. I don't do Twitter that much, but all of the other places on the internet where you would rot brain, I would bet I'm hanging out there.
Michael does a lot of Twitter.
From dark places from Grooch.
I'm a red pillar. Yeah, it's true.
Oh, Lord Jesus. Good for you.
Next up from Carl, you do too much, bro. Which coach, if any, in the conference do you think would have the greatest fluency in memes and memetic culture?
Memetic culture gets you an F-, you dumb idiot. How dare you?
Do you guys remember when Mel Tucker had an NFT and then he got asked in one of those Big Ten Network things what an NFT was and he couldn't answer the question? That having the NFT was a red flag. The second thing was a much bigger red flag, and I don't think we gave him enough guff for it at the time.
That's good.
There were a lot of red flags, actually, in retrospect, but the NF Tuck was supremely that. Anyway, greatest fluency in memes and memetic culture. Who is? This is a new forwarding emails situation, right? Like memes, in a way, are the new joke forward.
Mm-hmm.
So if you
Bert,
had to pick
we're gonna say Bert. We're gonna say Bert shares a lot of minion memes with
and
his
he's not
friends
good
and
at
family.
it, but they're there.
And he picks out the pixelated ones to send over, not the high quality ones. He chooses specifically the pixelated ones, and it's the minion with the one eye. That's his favorite one. So that it's Bert. There can be no doubt about that.
I think the two youngest coaches are Northwestern and Purdue, so those would be my seconds.
Yeah,
if we're answering authentically.
Next up from Kate Wall, Jonesy, which basketball position, excluding center, is this coming year's starter most likely to outscore last year's starter? And which is most likely to score less, excluding shooting guard? Okay.
All right. So, Kate, I don't know why you set yourself up for this.
Yeah.
I truly don't know why you set yourself up for this. Most likely is power forward, a.k.a. Malik Hall. Most likely to be outscored if things go according to plan. No, I mean, maybe. Though the three, actually, small forward, the wing, whatever you want to say, is the place that we probably complained most about production.
Mm-hmm.
Your Jaden Akins, right? Like, and he's no longer playing that position. So it's possible that that's the answer. Anyway, that's a great question. I do wonder, do we think point guard from a points production takes a step back on AJ?
Yes, I do think that.
That doesn't mean that point guard play isn't way better. Those two, they are unrelated things.
Because so much of our criticism of AJ was about how he's not doing things other than points, or how when he does points, they're when we don't need points.
Right.
Yeah, so AJ did nothing. AJ was not a contributor. He contributed nothing. He was a nothing.
Even in scoring, he anti-contributed.
He was a nothing player who did nothing and was a nothing. AJ, in this pod agrees, and every Spartan, any true faithful loyal Spartan agrees. AJ Hoggard is the worst Spartan to ever wear the uniform. There is no worse player, even domestic abusers. He is the worst. Period.
Even murderers.
Even murderers. If Adolf Hitler wore the green and white, AJ Hoggard would still somehow be fucking worse.
But Tum and Josh Langford.
Don't know what to tell you. They at least had heart.
Dude, you can step aside from your Josh Langford. And also, who was it? Was it Spartan 18770 that gave it to us on all
Joe
the Tum
Ashworth.
Joe Ashworth did.
Yeah.
Oh, bummer.
It was. Joe, look forward to receiving your complaint. Can't write at 1850. Can't write 1855 at gmail.com. Next up from Kate Wall. But Kate, those are my answers. Point guard less, maybe Malik.
Probably
more.
She actually wrote this for Plum in certain ways. This is perfect.
Yes, it says to Plum. with his highlight reel dunk from Summer League a few nights ago, has Malik Hall already overshadowed Max Christie's
don't
NBA
say that fucking name on this podcast.
And I want to note that she asterisked the A and the I.
She knew.
So that he couldn't search his own name. Has Malik Hall already overshadowed Max Christie's NBA achievements? I'll assume you've seen the highlight, but if not, he shattered the backboard. No need to look it up for yourself.
I will say I could have shattered the backboard if I was playing China. I mean, and I know that's offensive. It's intended to be. But the point is, I don't know. Malik's not had the breakout summer season folks might have hoped. He didn't play in the first game against...
No. This is Summer League. This is not the
I know
Olympics.
what it is, but
you said China.
They played against China in their second game. That's who they played when he broke... Yes, look it up.
Did he really break the backboard?
Well, I think he broke the rim or something. I don't know I don't think it like shattered everywhere. But yeah, no, they lost.
This wasn't a Shaq situation, is what you're saying?
No, yeah, I think they lost to San Antonio or Jacksonville or
China, San Antonio,
Fort Myers.
Who's to know?
Oh fuck. Nagoya, Japan. It's irrelevant who they lost. Anyway, they didn't lose. They won both games they played. The Hornets. He's playing for the Hornets, which, by the way, I think we have a beef with the Hornets for obvious reasons.
Did not get on the outline, but
did not, and it might have should have. But anyway, Miles Bridges, Hornets. So anyway, not in love with the Hornets right now. Still in love with Malik Hall. Not because he was good. He wasn't, but he didn't get any minutes against San Antonio or whomever. And in the second game of the summer season, they played China. And yeah, he broke the rim. What I will say is good look for him. Yes, absolutely destroying a rim or a backboard or anything else is obviously light years better than Max Christie could ever hope to do. Max Christie is never going to approach the rim. He's a perimeter shooter because he's a bad basketball player. And I'm not going to say what I wanted to because I don't like him very much. But I do like Malik Hall in comparison. And I think that dunk showed physical prowess. It showed moxie. It showed energy and physicality.
All the things he didn't do here.
Well, but he could offer the league, and now he realizes he should have been trying harder when he played for Michigan State. So anyway, rooting for him, despite myself rooting for him. Next up, my good friend and, frankly, I'm her admirer, Beth Amaro. Beth says, I've been working on a few theories to explain the lack of video last week. Are any of these three close? I'll answer this question. First, one, someone's fly was open during the entire recording.
Maybe after Greg visited outside and came back.
Yeah, well, let's come back to that one, Beth. We'll come back to that one. Yeah.
Entire recording.
Number two, you realize with horror that it's not... Beth! You realize with horror that it's not Greg's video that freezes, it's his actual face that periodically freezes while his voice continues.
I forgot to tell you guys about the Bell's palsy. My bad. I should have mentioned that earlier.
That's a good
point.
I'm going to take this opportunity to make a quick interlude apropos of nothing that we've said other than Bell's palsy, which is a good friend of mine got a shingles infection. He had a shingles infection, but like the shingles virus reactivated, the chickenpox virus. So he got a shingles attack in his inner ear.
Oh.
And the shingles virus, when it did its thing, it paralyzed one of the nerves in his inner ear. And so he got it's not technically Bell's palsy, but he has a palsy now in half of his face. He's got the palsy look. Because of that. Now, thankfully, when that virus is abated, and so like it will come back and it's already made a lot of progress, but he was... So yeah. Anyway, interesting. Shingles, inner ear. He said the itching, unspeakable. You couldn't satisfy.
Yes, you can't get in there. There's nothing to do.
Couldn't satisfy it. All right. Ooh. Sorry, Beth. Not what you asked. But third, something that. So another reason why our video didn't get loaded. Number three, something that could be mistaken for a buried body in Plum's basement was visible in the bottom right corner of the screen.
This is really specific.
What I hope you're referencing, Beth, and I'm going to assume you are. And if
Jason.
you are, neither Jason nor Yali. I hope what you're referencing is Paris is Burning. Okay? What I hope you're referencing is Paris is Burning. This was the 91, 92, 93 Jenny Livingston classic. If you haven't seen it, about the camp ballroom scene culture in New York City. This is a queer rite of passage film. If you haven't seen this, you are not gay or gay enough. Or if you haven't seen this, you're not an ally. Looking at you too, Kevin, your card rescinded.
Heard of it.
Paris is Burning. You have to watch it. It is classic. I mean, it ranks up. It's a documentary, but it's fantastic. Anyway, you got to see it. But in it,
question: which card for Greg is specifically?
We all know. Everyone knows. Folks who've never listened before know the card.
But I have multiple of those cards.
You do, and you'll get it back as soon as you watch it. You'll get it back.
Okay, understood.
But in Paris is Burning, they are interviewing one of the drag queens who they find out later on has a body in a suitcase in the frame. Now you can't see the foot or anything, but there's a body in a suitcase.
But you can see the suitcase.
The suitcase is like in many suitcases in there. And when she died, they had to go clean out her apartment. And then they were like, oh, why is there a body on mothballs in this suitcase? And it's in the movie. So yeah. So I hope that's what you mean, because if it is, honestly, you've cemented your position. So there you go.
But doesn't that mean that she's also comparing you to a drag queen who had a body?
Is she wrong? Listen, I've given her no reason to disabuse that perception.
You've
so
given
frankly,
none of us any reason to disabuse. There's always whenever you invite me up to the attic, I'm like, is this the last time?
This is it.
This is it. Am I gonna get?
And I never have anything to show you. It's just we're just going up there.
Here's where the toilet used to be.
Yeah,
it's now.
I think you're just getting me ready for the big one. You're just training me for it.
Yeah. And look at that open, empty suit. That old, empty suitcase. It's just open and laying on its side.
And the camera is over here to the left a bit. Interesting. Next up. From Spartan 1963, besides the Harvard of Washtenaw County, which fan base do you choose to spontaneously combust, and which fan base would you choose? I imagine they're saying.
Yeah, I think that's right.
To spontaneously combust and never be heard from again.
Oh, I have a couple.
Illinois
on Twitter, very grating fan base. Purdue could be on that list as well.
I gotta say,
person. Penn State.
Oh, interesting.
As condescending as our friends in Washtenaw County.
I think what grounds? Like,
I would tell you, for me, it's Notre Dame. Notre Dame alums are truly, truly hellacious. They are the most Michigan, non-Michigan. Entitled.
And they have the same national network of fans who have no relationship to the college.
None.
And why are those
people watched?
Why are those people called Subway fans? Like, where did that come from? What's the etymology of that?
Correct.
Subway Irish. Like, what does that mean? Yeah. What does that even begin?
Or they were all friends of that Jared character from Subway for some.
That's Indiana, which also should be erased from the planet.
Forks down.
Good question. Next up, Spartan 1963. Which MSU Twitter account is the most annoying?
Jonesy?
I have some thoughts on this, but the ones that I think are most annoying have bizarrely a large amount of followers and interactions. So, but I think it's pretty clear who on this pod we like, because they come on the podcast, and then think of other very large MSU accounts that you find insufferable.
So you're saying everyone that we haven't had on this podcast we find insufferable. There we go.
No. Very large Twitter account.
Every single one, everyone that's not been on here, the worst.
Well done, you.
Should adults, next up from Spartan 1963, should adults who put ketchup on hot dogs be arraigned on charges of un-American activities?
Yes.
Listen, that's a legitimate question.
Plum, were you there for the discovery about Greg's phobia of all things white and sauce?
It's not really a discovery. And also, when you put it to him, it sounds aggressive.
And thank God it's not June anymore. Jesus Christ, that'd have been offensive.
That's what I'm saying. So,
really, You not eating mayonnaise doesn't surprise me, but you not eating tartar sauce?
Tartar sauce.
I know
cream cheese melted.
No, but what about solidified?
Sour cream?
Sour cream. I'm an ish.
Yeah, none of these things.
But mayonnaise?
No mayonnaise, no aioli, none of these things.
But so you're out on ketchup on a hot dog?
Oh yeah, no way, 0% chance.
Yeah,
no,
I mean,
no.
Are you
relish,
a child?
Relish, onions, and Dijon, or really any mustard. I'll take yellow. I'll take fucking French classic.
Yeah,
whatever. I don't put the hot. I don't fuck around with the. There's something about the meat and the bun and the ketchup doesn't go together.
If you have a son, you'll know that son's become a man when they push aside the ketchup on a barbecue and they pull across the mustard, and you'll be like, all right, you can have a beer now.
Honestly,
I'm
if
only
that happened
7.
this year, I probably would hand
Jimmy.
the beer over. Like if someone would take a condiment that was not ketchup, truly any one of them,
yeah,
I'd have a fucking party.
Next up, stupidest shardy for Michael Jones. How was your 4th? Was it a significant day for you?
Yeah, it was fine. It was what this country's what. We're approaching a milestone, aren't we?
Well, we won't get to it, so it doesn't matter. It's all over. It's I'm exaggerating.
What is it? I know what the centennial, the sesquicentennial, the bicentennial. What is it? The sesquibicentennial? What is the next one?
What would it be?
Is it 275?
250.
26.
Yeah. 26 is the 250. We won't make it there. That's okay though.
Anyway, my 4th was lovely. There were plans for people to be there, and then they weren't. And so that was deeply hurtful for not only celebrating America's birthday, but my own.
Yeah. But it's fine. I'm sure those people would have made it to like your wedding or something, more important if there was...
You're right. Those people have been there for the biggest days in my life.
Well,
for wood.
Next up.
To Plum then.
Plum. That's the way you spent the 4th. Yours must have been great.
Well, if pulling all the baseboards and the trim. So listeners should know. I might have promised to meet up with a friend or friends, but I heard that another friend wasn't coming because they got sick, and therefore I didn't want to come anymore.
Oh.
So whose fault is that? That's not true either. I didn't know they were sick, and that was why I wasn't coming. But that's neither here nor there. No, we were. My husband and I took a week off so we could paint the house. We did not paint anything other than a couple pieces of trim because we got caught trying to strip baseboards. Which on Saturday we decided to just remove completely from the house, along with all the trim on the doors. So, my Lord and my God, it is not good what we've done. But that was how we wasted the 4th of July. It was a learning experience that I have nothing good to say about. So.
I'm surprised you chose to strip in the first instance and not just paint over.
Well,
no, I mean, like, kudos to you because you discovered something out of it. But
we did discover it. Yeah, we did discover it.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, I mean that sincerely. Like, I would have just painted over.
I know, but Plum's been to other houses that serve as inspiration, and he thought, man, these people have it all figured out, and I should emulate this. And
do they still have tape around doorways?
Do still have tape. That's all part. That's actually
not anymore.
Structural tape. He's
structural tape.
My house.
I want to go back to the 4th. Well, I have an answer now. This is the United States semi-quincentennial. Semi-quincentennial. A quincentennial being 500 years.
500. So semi.
The semi-quincentennial is 250. But they're also calling the bisesquicentennial. That's why the sesquicentennial. Yeah.
Breck, worst way you've spent the 4th of July, and I'm sure you're going to say this past 4th of July.
I wish I could have been stripping baseboards because I had to go to this birthday party, and boy, was it lame. So here we are. No,
we got Bud Heavy out of it.
Worst way to spend the 4th of July. I don't think I've ever told this story before, and now's probably not the time. But my first job out of college, I got purposefully ticketed for something that was happening at the office. And I had to represent the office because I was the manager of that location in court on the 5th in Illinois, which meant that things weren't going to work travel-wise. So I spent my 4th of July, my first year out of college, like states away. Everyone that I knew in Chicago was going back to Michigan for that 4th of July. They wouldn't now, but they did then. That one was a bummer for a bunch of reasons, but that was a very fun court appearance the following day, and a story worth telling perhaps someday. Next up from Amopaleaf, which of the 3 values of Olympism? I'm not that upset about mispronouncing that word. Excellence, respect, or friendship is the one that you would used best in order to build a better you, a better podcast, and a better world.
Well, we know it's not excellence.
Yeah. No.
Or respect.
No.
So it has to be friendship by default, right?
It can only be. I've never demanded excellence in anything before. I've never shown any respect. So
it's
friendship it is. Yeah.
I think it's friendship.
All right. Next up, former Michigan State guard Shea Coley was named to the Canadian women's basketball team set to compete in the 2024 Paris Olympics. Other than tuning in for Shea's game, what will you be doing July 26th to promote Olympism throughout the world? What? Why did she take for granted that we're interested in promoting Olympism throughout the world? What is this?
Susan, please. Please, Susan, please.
I don't. Who's Shea playing? I'm not probably going to watch the Olympics if I'm being really honest.
Okay, well, that's problematic. But
is it like?
Honest.
But
yeah, no, it's the Olympics. It happens every 4 years. You tune in because you don't know what you might see.
Because of the Olympism, Michael.
Because the Olympism. It's friendship.
Olympism.
It's excellence. It's respect. It's the Russians still playing as some fucking misnomer
playing
with
under
white flag.
A white flag. That's right.
Very confusing. The DPRK there for some reason. Others too. That's why you'll watch it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Next up, Mr. Neurotic Pants, who we've missed for several weeks in a row. There seem to be some email issues, but emails can't write 1855@gmail.com.
We promise they get read by a human.
Now's the time to call it out. Yes, absolutely.
My God.
This week in Spartan Nation, Reverend Mel Tucker's ministry decided to pursue professional wrestling as well. Reverend Tugger asked to speak to the board of trustees about establishing a Big Ten league. Everybody's a winner eventually, and imagine cashing in on the rivalry. After being blackmailed by Alan Haller, CMU athletic director. Oh, sorry, blackballed. Though honestly, we could do both. Alan Haller says to CMU athletic director Amy Folan. She proclaims, well, your swim and dive team will never be on our level. You can't even swim in our lanes. Jake Boss enters the transfer portal.
This is a good episode because it finally ties up the CMU plot thread that we have been waiting for a long time to tie up. So I appreciate that about this episode of Spartan Nation.
Next up from Mr. Neurotic Pants, is there a more effective conversation starter than a green hat with a Spartan logo? I went to a professional conference this week, and it must have sparked at least 10 conversations. Eventually, I will have to lie and say that I graduated from MSU instead of my charming directional university. Should I be like you guys and casually drop mentions of my honors college or James Madison enrollment? And then there's my volunteer background.
Did we know this? Did we know that Raymond didn't graduate from Michigan State? I didn't know that.
We learned from hanging out with him at tailgates that he taught at LCC. I didn't think he had an actual formal relationship with.
Well, I just assumed he went as undergrad. You can teach at LCC, and
yeah,
so
fair.
You didn't realize that. So Raymond, we didn't know, and I respect you even more now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then
you did talk a lot of trash about directional schools in some of your questions way back when.
Good for you. And that's because we talk a lot of trash about this program and Max Christie, and we should, and we claim the right to. So that's totally fine and consistent.
Mm-hmm. I think in some of these conferences, you should just become Alex Plum and just use that as a persona with all of the James Madison College and all of his stories and being an RA. And saying,
I was accepted to Michigan, but I turned them down.
My Lord and my God, every 15 words and say Jesus on a bike or whatever it was. Like,
you're stupider than you are dumb.
I do have some good ones. I do have some classic ones. It's Christ on a bike, but
Christ on a bike.
Or dumber than you are stupid. Dumber than you are stupid.
You are dumber than you are stupid. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Shit the bed. I say shit the bed a lot, especially in basketball season.
Fuck the dog.
Fuck the dog is a classic. That's a classic.
We share enough about ourselves on here. You could just become like a terrible
amalgam,
godless
the
amalgam
worst
of
rat king.
Three of us, a rat king. The can't write rat king. Oh my God! They would ask you to leave.
Oh,
they would
you would not be welcome there.
To leave.
They would arrest you.
You need to mention your faith and that you work in tech for sure.
Multiple times. Yep.
All right, let's wrap it up with the Upper Deck Jerk guy. Who's worse, lawyers or podcasters?
I think that's directly to you, Jonesy.
Yeah.
All bad. All bad. I will say they're both performative in a way. I don't know. This is closer to me than the lawyer version of me. So, lawyers worse.
Next up from the Upper Deck Jerk guy, what do you guys think about Gabe Brown in the Summer League?
I didn't even know he was getting a cup of tea.
I was going to say, I didn't think for even a second Upper Deck Jerk guy. I think that tells you everything you need to know about Gabe Brown.
Mm-hmm. What does the Summer League even mean then? Quiet, soft, bad. Gabe Brown is one of the biggest disappointments. In my mind, Gabe Brown is one of the biggest disappointments in this program. And I am glad that he's still trying to fucking make it in the Summer League. What a boob.
So many athletic gifts. Many athletic gifts.
And the producer of so many gifs and memes, and then not to back any of that up. Finally, from the Upper Deck Jerk guy, when does Plum leave the country again, and thus making America great?
I'm fairly certain that I'm headed to South Africa in the very beginning of September. So that will be it. I'll be making America great. I'll be making Donald Trump again. And I look forward to it in Cape Town. So.
I want to just shout out Upper Deck Jerk guy. Thank you for asking the question because we would have found this out the night of recording.
Yes.
Otherwise,
hey guys, I'm in Cape Town. It's 12 hours ahead or something. I don't really know. So
I was just on an airplane for 36 continuous hours.
I did do that. I did.
I did bring my AirPods though.
I don't even have them anymore. Oh my God, I don't. Oh, it was really bad of me.
All right, gentlemen, I weirdly think we didn't make a bad episode with not a ton to talk about. So with that, I say a resounding go green.
Go white.
Go white.